Alrighty folks, we've successfully conquered the setup and configuration phase, and now it's time for the exciting part. Let's dive headfirst into the magical realm of Flutter development and build our very first app. Drumroll, please. And what is this grand app we're going to craft, you ask? It's none other than the legendary I Am Rich app. Now, if you haven't heard the story, let me enlighten you. Back in the early days of the App Store, when it was like the wild, wild west of app development, a maverick named Armin decided to create an app that would raise eyebrows. I Am Rich. Now, this was a genius move. Armin's masterstroke was to create an app that did absolutely nothing. Yep, you heard me right. It displayed a solitary icon of a dazzling red ruby on your screen. Oh, and he set the price at the maximum the App Store allowed. A cool $999.99. He marketed it as an art and lifestyle app for the uber wealthy, or perhaps for those with a whimsical sense of humor willing to shell out $1,000 for an app that did zilch. Believe it or not, before Apple pulled the plug on it, 7 or 8 intrepid souls actually bought it. 5 of them were probably kids who most likely got the scolding of their lives from their parents for burning $1,000 on an app that did sweet nothing. But guess what? I Am Rich is the perfect playground for us to kickstart our Flutter adventure. It's like dipping your toes into the sparkling waters of Flutter development. It's a chance to become best buddies with your development environment, learn about all those nifty buttons, and see how a real Flutter app blooms from scratch. So, when you're good and ready, fire up Android Studio and let's make some digital magic happen. Once you've got your creative juices flowing, open up Android Studio and select the option that leads us on the path of a new Flutter project. Click on the first option that says Create a Flutter App and hit that glorious Next button. Now, it's time to name our project, and we'll call it iAmric. Keep it all lowercase, with underscores between the words in your project name. Leave everything else as it is. This tells Android Studio where your project will call home, usually in a folder named Android Studio Projects. You can easily find it by searching for Android Studio Projects. With our project named, click Next, and here, it's time for the company domain. For instance, give it the any name whichever you want, but it must be unique. Or you can go with this default name as of now. Why, you ask? Well, this is how they create a unique package name for your app by blending your company domain with your project name. This unique identifier helps distinguish your app in the vast App Store landscape. They're hoping that no one at this name decides to make a copycat I Am Rich app and tries to upload it. Now, what if you don't have a website or a company domain? Easy peasy. You can simply use your full name and append it with a comma. As long as there isn't another person out there with the same name as you trying to create an app called I Am Rich, you should be A-OK. And if you do happen to have a website, well, you're in the clear. No one else can own your very own corner of the web. So let's hit Next and embark on this thrilling journey into Flutterland, where we'll create an app that might not make us rich, but will certainly make us richer in Flutter knowledge. You see, the beauty of Flutter lies in its ability to craft truly distinctive apps. So let's dive in and click that Finish button. Android Studio will work its magic and conjure up a brand new Flutter project just for you. Inside, you'll find a little starting code provided by the Flutter team, and it's as basic as a simple counter app. Now, this initial app showcases the power of what we call a scaffold. If you're itching to see it in action, open up your Android emulator or iOS simulator and hit that Run button. What'll pop up on your screen is a straightforward app with a top bar, some text in the middle, and a button you can play with. But here's the catch. This isn't the app we're aiming to create. Nope. This is just a teaser from the Flutter team showing you the wonders of scaffolds. Our app, the I Am Rich app, will be crafted from scratch, and it's going to be glorious. To get the ball rolling, let's wipe the slate clean. I'll erase everything in the file except the top 2 lines up to around line 12. You'll notice a little error creeping in, and Dart Analysis isn't shy about pointing it out. It says my app isn't defined. Well, that's because my app was the Flutter team's app, the counter app, which I just deleted. Instead, our new app is going to be a blank material app, following the material design pattern. Now, what is material design? It's Google's brainchild, a design style adopted by many companies for their websites and mobile apps. With Flutter, we have the power to harness this design concept through a bunch of Flutter widgets. We'll soon witness how effortlessly we can incorporate these sleek designs. So, back to our material app. This is where our widget tree takes root. Within Material App, the most vital piece is Home. This is where the magic starts. Let's say we want to display a simple text widget that says, "Hello World." If we run our app at this point, you'll see our text within our Material app. But let's face it, it's not exactly eye-catching. Just a black screen with red text. It does the job, says "Hello World." But it's not exactly winning any design awards. Yet, this marks the beginning of our widget tree. And it's a modest one. Our widget tree consists of 2 widgets. Material app as the parent widget, a common starting point for most Flutter apps. And inside it, we have a text widget. By default, text widgets align to the top left corner, which is why it's showing up there. But what if we want to center our text? Well, in the world of Flutter, widgets are your best friends, and we have 1 to center elements. If we place our text widget inside a center widget, it'll automatically be positioned in the center of the screen. There you go, we've jazzed up your script and added some clarifications to make it more engaging and informative. Our widget tree is starting to take shape. We've introduced a 3rd member into our widget family, and it's cause for celebration. So, here's the deal. We kick things off with the Material app widget, our parent widget. Inside the Material app, we've nestled a center widget, and guess what it does? Yep, it does exactly what it sounds like. It centers anything it contains. And what do we have inside the center widget? A text widget. Now, let's shake things up a bit. We'll give our text widget a little break. I'll use a quick Command X or Control X to cut it out, and we'll just leave it hanging for now. Inside the Material app, instead of our trusty text widget, we're going to have a center widget that also has a child, which is none other than a text widget. It's like nesting dolls, but with widgets. Now, when we run our app using the play button, you'll see "Hello World" effortlessly shifted to the center of the screen. It's all thanks to the center widget doing its thing. Here's a pro tip. When you start building Flutter apps, you'll find widgets that fit almost every role you can imagine. Just like a company might have accountants, salespeople, and technical folks, you've got widgets with unique jobs. The text widget. It's the wordsmith, responsible for displaying and styling text. Center widget. It's the traffic cop of the screen, making sure things align beautifully. And the Material app. Well, it's the granddaddy of all widgets. It usually takes the top spot, and most of your creations will begin with it. Now, let's talk about making your code easier on the eyes. At the moment, everything is on a single line, and it's like trying to find your way through a maze. Fortunately, when you install Flutter and Dart packages, you get a helpful tool called Dart FM. But here's the trick. You need to help it help you. The Flutter team suggests adding a comma after the parentheses of each widget you create. So, I'm going to add a comma after each set of parentheses. When I save or right-click and choose Reformat Code with Dart FMT, it'll magically transform our single-line chaos into beautifully indented code. Now it's a breeze to see that our text widget is inside the center widget, which, in turn, is inside the Material app. Everything nestled inside. Main. Speaking of main, this is crucial because it's where our app begins its journey. When you launch your app, it starts with the main Dart file, where we're currently writing code. It looks for main and follows its instructions. This is the launch pad for all our apps. To make our organized code structure even tidier, we can replace the GT. With a pair of curly braces, it's the same thing as before, but now our code is beautifully indented. It's like tidying up a messy room. Suddenly, everything is in its place. This makes a world of difference as your app grows with more widgets nested within each other. Lastly, notice those click on them, and you can expand or collapse the content. You can toggle between viewing it all or making it look like it's taking up just one line. These are our comments. Comments are like little notes you leave for yourself or your team. It's a way to say, hey, future me, this is what this part does. As you learn and grow, comments help you remember your thinking process. For example, we can start with the main function is the starting point for all our Flutter apps. So when you come back to this code, you'll remember that main is where it all begins. Once you're comfortable with this, you can delete it because it refers to the part of the code we've already bid farewell to. Leaving comments like these is a good practice for your own benefit as you navigate your code. In this lesson, we've kicked off our widget tree. With the help of these widgets, we birthed a simple app displaying the words "Hello World." In the lessons to come, we'll take this simplicity and turn it into something grand, a real gem like the I Am Rich app we're building. This is where every Flutter app begins. And now you know how to start from scratch and mold it into your own masterpiece. Stay tuned for the exciting journey ahead.